And then if you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up. But the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better opportunities.
I'm like, I just want to take his chutzpah, bottle it up, and sell it to America. No, that is not my quote. I got that from one of these judges on a court show. You know, I can't even tell you where I got it from. I just know it came from one of those court shows. Ben Shapiro is irritating the crap out of me. Now, I know you guys have seen the clip already where it's gone viral, obviously, where he says, if you can't afford to live in America, then you should just leave. So that's what we're talking about today, you guys. Welcome back to Archie's Briefings and to the channel of Pocket Politics. I'm your host, Arshel Branch. Now, like I said, absolutely insane. Ben Shapiro, irritating as all heck. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so that way you never miss an episode. And definitely get into the comment sections, you guys, because I want to know what you think about all of this. Okay, so apparently if you can't afford America, you should just leave. I find that quite interesting, possibly even ironic if it's coming from someone with dual citizenship. I'm like, Ben, do you not get that Americans don't actually want to continue spending money on Israel? We don't want to keep doing that. It doesn't seem feasible. Doesn't make any sense. And yet you still want us to keep sending money to what we think is a ridiculous cause. Do you not remember the song, "This land is your land, this land is my land, this land was made for you and me"? We are the natives today, okay? We're the Indians, and we are not trying to just abandon ship, abandon the land because politicians decide that they want to price us out of our own darn country. I'm not okay with this, okay? There's a lot wrong with what he said, and the fact that he doesn't get that is bonkers. Like, there's no other word. I mean, there are other words, but I won't cuss here today. It's just mind-boggling to me that he thinks that the citizens and the land itself is just transactional. I mean, Anna Kasparian said this on a Tucker Carlson interview recently, where, you know, he believes that this relationship between the American people and the country of America is a transactional one, that if it's not working out for you, you should just give up. You should just walk away. And that's a serious issue. Now, for me, when I first saw this clip, you guys, I thought to myself, okay, number one, it's not that he's not acknowledging that there are things that could be done here regulation-wise. Obviously, we could strengthen the supply so that way there is more supply to meet the demand as it relates to housing, and that there are things that we can do regulation-wise to bring down the cost. Obviously, if you increase the supply and there's more supply than there is demand, prices are obviously going to regulate accordingly to be more affordable. This is obviously a big thing. Now, Charlie Kirk, also when he was on Tucker Carlson, the late, great Charlie Kirk, said it was going to be this issue that radicalized our young. Now, recently, I saw in a Dave Ramsey video, you guys, it was Ken Coleman, I believe, and Jade Warshaw, and they were talking about why millennials, 70% of them, lean towards Democrat socialism because they want things to be affordable. They have all of this debt. There are things that we could be doing as individuals, as a collective, as far as regulation goes, that is, so that way we can make our lives more affordable, okay? Now, I'm not saying that the system is perfect. Obviously, it's not. I've spoken about the problems with the central bankers, the problem with the Federal Reserve on a number of occasions. What I am saying, however, is that instead of just sitting around waiting for the right person to come out and wage war against these institutions, there are things that can be done in a hybrid, crony, capitalist economic system where you too can afford the life that you actually want. And he didn't acknowledge any of those things. Now, I'm not saying that you solely point the finger at the individual or that you solely point the finger at the institution. There's a lot of blame to go around here. Young people, specifically millennials, my generation, we were manipulated or seduced, call it what you will, into taking out an obscene amount of debt. Debt has become a product that is so easily accessible that we get caught up with our desires. No, I don't want to wait however long to get the house. No, I don't want to wait however long to get the car that I can't afford. I'm doing this for vanity's sake. I'm doing this for the glory of it. And of course, for vanity or for glory, you know, you die in the horror movies. Expect there to be problems in your real life. So I'm not saying that he was 100% wrong about what he was saying as far as what can be done regulation-wise, but to just say we should just flat up give up and abandon ship like we don't have loyalty to the land, dude, You are not MAGA. Stop pretending that you are. Stop pretending that you have America's interest at heart. You have dual citizenship, and I don't see you trying to give up on this movement that is pro-Israel. You don't want us to walk away from Israel, but you're okay with Americans walking away from America. I don't have dual citizenship. I don't have dual loyalties. I'm loyal to this land that is blessed by Jesus Christ. Yo, I'm going to need you. Who are you to tell American citizens that we got to walk away from that? I don't like this guy. I really don't like him. I think he's hit rock bottom, and there's a reason why this video went viral, okay? If he had just been saying, yet again, why he doesn't like Candace Owens, why he doesn't like Tucker Carlson, I'm not saying that you wouldn't have a tete-a-tete between the conservative movement over those comments. But this didn't just piss off people on the right. It also pissed off people on the left. He's completely ignoring the fact why the Democrat socialist Mamdani actually won, why the Republicans are going to lose power if they don't run the populist candidate. And the notion in the clip that I showed you guys at the very beginning of this video as to there are no tenable options that he doesn't see from either the far left or the far right, from the Democrat socialist, from the MAGA conservative, that the ideas that we have to preserving our economy, making life more affordable, are just not reasonable. What do you mean not reasonable? You could make it so that way debt wasn't so accessible, so next generations wouldn't go so far into debt. That's something you can do. You can pull back on the red tape so that way people can continue to build housing so there's more supply to meet the demand. That you can obviously do. You know what also you can do? You can tell young Americans to not take out any more debt while they have, to pay down the debt that they do have by either working the debt snowball method, by working the debt avalanche, by increasing their income, by saving, by going for what they can actually afford, making reasonable sacrifices. Like, this is what they can actually do today, okay, as individuals. And then as far as what regulation can be done, remove the red tape. So that way we can increase the supply of housing, okay? So this does something about the cost of living. Encourage more Americans to mass produce domestically all of our necessities. We used to do this in this country, and it's not like these things weren't a thing, okay? That's what really irritates me. Everything that he was saying was hopeless. It was about abandoning the land. It was not giving a darn about his fellow American citizens, but we shouldn't be surprised because the man has dual loyalties, okay? He would rather kick out all of the native-born Americans who are anti-Israel or just not pro-Israel, because I'm not anti-Israel. I'm just not for sending money to any foreign government, okay? He would rather I leave the country or other young Americans leave the country who don't support these ridiculous ideas, rather than trying to show us how as individuals we can be better with our money, rather than trying to mobilize MAGA to pulling back on the red tape to make things more affordable, coaching and educating young Americans and other Americans to actually mass produce necessities so we can afford to take care of ourselves, because it all comes down to supply and the buying power of our dollar, okay? We can do things like today. Before a revolution, there are things that we can do. So it's not that there's nothing we can do, Ben, okay? And we're not fitting to just abandon the land either because you think we should. And it's ironic that someone who refuses to give up on a foreign nation is telling Americans to give up on their own land and bounce. Who the heck do you think you are? I got serious issues with this. You guys get in the comment sections and let me know what you think, because to be perfectly honest, I'm offended. Definitely offended. And the thing about conservatives, when we say we're offended, it means something, okay? I got an issue with people who have dual citizenships telling native-born Americans that we should just leave if we can't afford it. Are you kidding me? President Trump comes out on Truth Social and says, I'm going to bring back the 50-year mortgage, and we're supposed to be thrilled about this. I like 15-year fixes. How do we make this more popular? How do we make that common? How do we make 15-year fixes common? How do we eradicate personal property taxes? This would help the elderly. This would encourage more young people to go out there and take on mortgages. How do we increase the supply? By encouraging the builders. Like, there are things you could be doing today as individuals, regulation-wise. I'm not fitting to just give up on my nation, yo. And if you got a problem with that, Ben, then you can leave. You do have citizenship with Israel. You can leave. And we're okay with it. And no MAGA conservative is going to have a problem with you bouncing either. And take this Zionist pro-Israel nonsense with you. I can't stand Ben Shapiro, okay? I can't stand the Daily Wire. I can't stand the Zionist movement. How dare you say to us, American citizens who don't have dual citizenship that we should just leave because America's politicians have decided that it's rules for thee and not for me. Because America's politicians have decided that they were going to create the imaginary Iron Curtain, separating opportunity for the rich and denying it to those who aren't. Like, I got a problem with this. And the fact that he doesn't even know that what he said was wrong is a problem. The fact that you don't know that it was wrong, Ben, is a problem. I'm going to need you. If you don't like it, you can leave. If you don't like any of the ideas that the populist movement on the right are saying, then you can leave. Go home to Israel. Be with Bibi. We don't care. Bye, Ben. Go with Bibi. We don't like you anyway. Okay? We really don't. You're a problem. And everyone is, if they didn't know it already, they know it now. Okay? People didn't like it when, I think it was Bloomberg who said, if you can't afford New York, then leave. Cuomo said the same thing. So it didn't matter if it was coming from a Democrat or a Republican. If you simply can't afford to do it, then you should just leave. Listen, I've been a part of the family caravan that's moved from one state to the next, and they did not change their thinking. We couldn't afford New York, so we left Brooklyn and moved to New Jersey. They brought their Democrat thinking with them, and they voted for Murphy. And then their property taxes increased, and they couldn't understand why. They went from being paying a mortgage to owning 2 cars or owning one and leasing the other, to then not being able to afford the property taxes that they had to sell the car that they owned, and they inevitably left and moved to Pennsylvania and took their thinking with them. And what did they do? They voted for John Fetterman. When I moved to Pennsylvania, I moved with the conservative mindset. When I moved to Texas, I moved with the conservative mindset. There are things that people can be doing today. Acknowledge where your own mistakes are. Work a zero-based budget. Get yourself out of debt. Don't take out any additional debts. Increase your income. Save your money. Don't get so caught up in desires. Don't be so easily manipulated into taking out more debt because you want to look like you have money. There are things we could be doing individually. Everything he said was hopeless. And that's my biggest issue. It was not very Christian. It wasn't very hopeful. It wasn't helpful. And it certainly wasn't about healing the conservative movement either. I think he likes being a provocateur. I think he likes getting on people's nerves. I think he genuinely believes that Americans, even if you don't have dual citizenship with other countries, even if you don't have, the support of, your not so much populists, but of your so-called moderates, that you should just leave. How about you take your Zionist loving, your Israel supporting behind out of America, and we would be more than thrilled. And do the Daily Wire over there, because after COVID, we know you can do these things remote. So I got a problem with Ben. I think everybody's got a problem with Ben at this point, okay? You don't get to tell my fellow Americans that if we can't afford the nation in which our ancestors built and died for, to just leave it. My great and so on grandfather didn't run from slavery so I can abandon the land. Who the hell are you, Ben? I can track my lineage all the way to the beginning of this country. I ain't about to abandon it. If we got to be the Indians today, then we're going to fight like hell, guerrilla warfare and all. Now, until that revolution, I intend to make sure I'm smart with my money. I intend to work the zero-based budget. I intend not to take out ridiculous debt. I intend to encourage other Americans to do the same thing. Because at bare minimum, I know there are things that I can do to preserve my own position and to grow my position. And if I can do it, so can everybody else. I'm trying to put out hopeful information. Healing information. If it ain't hopeful, helpful, or healing, as Dave Ramsey says, then why are you even saying what you're saying? Because all you're doing is pissing people off, Ben. You guys get in the comment sections and let me know what you think about this. Do you think Ben Shapiro's right? Should we just abandon the land because we can't afford it? Or should we be working to preserve our financial positions by doing best for ourselves and trying to fix our economic system by working together as a collective? Frankly, that's what I think. I think it's the latter. I don't believe Ben is about that life, and this is why he's a problem. He can bounce and take anybody who thinks like you with that dual citizenship, and you too can leave. Let me know in the comment sections. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so that way you never miss an episode. Get in the comments because I definitely want to respond to your comments and I want to have this conversation because, I'm offended and I'm pissed off with Ben yet again. It's just, it's a problem. So let me know again in the comment sections, okay? I love you guys. Thank you again. Thanks again for watching. And of course, because it's me, Kepla.